These are more times cocky UFC fighters got completely destroyed and humbled by their opponents.
Saturday night, I'm gonna beat him up like he stole something from me.
Right hand! Unbelievable!
He tapped like almost 9 times in the UFC.
Trying to grab the hands. And again! And another! And another!
Trash talk can be a powerful weapon to get inside your opponent's head, throw them off their rhythm, and make them fight angry. But when it backfires hard, and in this video, we're looking at 10 UFC fighters who ran their mouths a little too much and paid the price when the cage door closed. We'll kick things off with the UFC 320 light heavyweights title rematch between Magomed Ankalaev and Alex Pereira. In their first meeting at UFC 313, Ankalaev completely dominated Pereira and won by a clear decision. After the win, Ankalaev fired shots at Pereira by saying that he spent the entire fight running away from him.
I kept on moving forward, I kept pressuring him, and he kept on running away from me. For 20 minutes, this guy was running away from me. And then I heard at the end of the fight, he was saying that, he wasn't sure why the victory was given to me. Who's supposed to be given the victory? I've been pressuring him the entire time. He was running for 20 minutes, and then he's wondering who's supposed to get the victory. Listen, I'm happy for a rematch if he wants a rematch, but then maybe in the rematch, you could fight for real, not just run away the entire time.
The two continued to trade shots online until eventually they were set for a rematch at UFC 320. Heading into the fight, Pereira claimed that during a visit to the UFC Performance Institute, Ankalaev allegedly hid from him.
O que aconteceu ali agora, a saída do PI, né? Eu vi ali o treinador do Ankalaev, tava ali e tal, pô, eu saí do PI, a gente ficou um tempo ali no sofá, ali na recepção. Aí saí, fui pro carro. E aí quando eu cheguei no carro, né, um cara do meu time, né, tava lá dentro ainda, né, e viu, tipo, a menina do PI falando pro Ankalaev, pode vir, ele já foi embora já, tipo, porra.
Pereira's claim really got under Magomed's skin as he accused Pereira of lying and said that he'd lost all respect for him.
Trash talk is something that you hype up the fight and you say something funny or maybe just to be salty, but when you lie to people and say that, oh, I saw him and he hid or he was hiding in a PI, the stuff like that he recently said, I don't respect people like that. Why would you lie about something that never happened?
Ankalaev was pretty mad about Pereira's accusations, and he promised to end the rivalry once and for all.
The reason he became a champion is because I wasn't there. And now I'm here. I'm gonna put a stamp on this on Saturday, beat him again, and then all the questions will be answered. Saturday night, I'm gonna beat him up like he stole something from me.
On fight night, Pereira walked in looking like a beast. From the opening bell, he put pressure on Ankalaev and walked him down before launching a crunching right hook that rocked Ankalaev badly. Ankalaev immediately shot for a takedown, but Pereira put him on his back and launched a barrage of punches and elbows until the referee had no choice but to step in and stop the fight in just 1 minute and 20 seconds.
He said a lot of things that I was going to go back and work at a tire shop and just a lot of things through this whole time that he shouldn't have said.
Becoming a champ is tough, but staying on top is even harder, especially while staying humble. And like Ankalaev, Dricus Du Plessis also let his success get to his head and was about to learn a hard lesson for being too cocky. The rivalry between Dricus Du Plessis and Khamzat Chimaev had been simmering long before they ever touched gloves. It all began when DDP captured the middleweights title at UFC 297, and Chimaev, who was sidelined due to injuries and health issues, started calling for a title shot. In one social media post, Chimaev shared a photo flaunting his shredded physique and boldly claimed that he was coming for the middleweight belt. DDP fired back by calling Chimaev a princess and sarcastically told him to put on a shirt before he caught a cold, which was a cheeky dig at Chimaev's well-known health struggles. Dricus didn't stop there because in another post he mocked both Khamzat and the one-eyed Sharabutstin Magomedov, quipping that between the two of them, they barely had 3 senses. DDP even mocked Chimaev's lip scar that he got from a brutal injury in his childhood. When the fight was finally announced, the trash talk only intensified as DDP promised to derail Chimaev's hype train once and for all.
We've seen him being as dominant as anybody can be in the first round. We've seen him beating as exhausted as anybody can be in a third round. This is a 5-rounder. Bring your first round. I am going to meet you in the middle and we are going to wrestle. We can wrestle that first round, the whole first round. And then we come out in that second round and we'll see what we feel like. And we can wrestle you have around a minute left in that second round. And then we're going to fight my fight. Then we're going to wrestle on my terms. And then we're going to strike on my terms.
DDP even said it was do or die for him.
You have said you're prepared to kill your opponent in there. Do you think Khamzat Chimaev is prepared to do the same?
To kill me? I certainly hope so, because if he's not, he's in for the worst night of his life.
On fights nights, DDP failed to back his words up as Chimaev completely dominated every second of the 5-round battle with constant takedowns and high-level grappling. Chimaev ultimately cruised to a decisive unanimous decision victory. While DDP's cockiness was somewhat justified since he was a dominant champion, Bo Nickal had no such excuse. With only a few UFC fights to his name, he shouldn't have been talking as big as he was, and he paid a big price for it. Bo Nickal joined the UFC in 2023 with a 3-0 record, and within 2 years he pushed it to 7-0. With every win, Bo's confidence kept growing, and to the point where he actually believed he could ragdoll a monster like Khamzat Chimaev.
They book you against him right now. How does that fight go?
You know, I think I'd do very similarly to him what I did to this last guy. Take him down, ragdoll him, throw him around. You know, he's not a big 85er. He gets tired. So, you know, is his first round going to be a little better, more competitive? Probably. But if that fight's 5 rounds, I don't think he makes it 5 rounds.
With 4 straight wins in the UFC, the promotion decided it was time to see if Bo Nickal was ready for a real test. So they matched him up against Reinier De Ridder, a UFC newcomer but a former 2-division champion in ONE FC and one of the slickest grapplers in the game. It was a big step up in competition, but Bo was confident that he was better, especially in striking.
I think he knows that I'm a better striker than him, that I hit hard, and not to say he doesn't have skills, because he absolutely does, and there's a lot of things that he does really well on the feet, but I think I have an advantage there.
Nickal was completely sure he'd win no matter what.
I expect to win this fight. I don't know if it'll be a finish or if it'll be a decision. Regardless of the result, I'm focused on giving 100% effort from the first bell to the last, and really that's all I can control, right? I can't control my opponent. I can't control anything else. Can't control the crowd. Can't control the ref. All I can control is me. So, you know, the only thing I can go do is come to this opportunity with a lot of gratitude and maximum effort.
De Ridder, who was 19-2 at the time with 2 UFC wins under his belt, wasn't fazed by Bo or his wrestling background.
I've been taking down guys since before he was even wrestling, so yeah.
Good headline. Good headline.
On fight night, De Ridder played it smart. Instead of diving into wrestling exchanges with one of the best wrestlers on the planet, he kept the fight standing. He pushed the pace, used his range well, and forced Bo into uncomfortable territory. As the fight wore on, Nickal began to fade, and in the second round, De Ridder landed a brutal knee to the body that dropped Bo and ended the fight in devastating fashion. Bo's critics were over the moon and they started calling him a fraud, but Nickal wasn't having any of it, and he fired back with a fiery message to his doubters.
Suck my At the end of the day, like, you know, say what you want, but when I get back on top and when I'm the freaking champion of the world,
they're all crawling back.
You all come crawling back.
They always do.
They always do. They always do. And I'll spit right in your face.
It was a big win for Reinier De Ridder and one that pushed him really close to a title shot, but unfortunately, he let it get to his head, and that's when the reality of fighting at the top level decided to humble him. At UFC Vancouver, Reinier De Ridder was originally scheduled to face Anthony Hernandez, but when Hernandez pulled out, Brendan Allen stepped in on short notice to save the day for the UFC. Both men had trained at Kill Cliff Gym before Allen parted ways, and De Ridder insinuated that Allen wanted no piece of him in sparring.
He hasn't been in the gym as much, and the first few times I came in and he was there, I don't give a f***. I just went up to him, said hi, and what's up, let's train, but he didn't want to train, and I respect that as well. It is what it is. We'll find out now, I guess.
De Ridder also took shots at Allen's skills, saying his grappling and overall skill set was average.
His grappling is good, but a bit sloppy at times. He falls off the back very frequently, so maybe that's something he has adjusted by now. Has decent submissions, very opportunistic, like he jumps on stuff when he sees it. His wrestling is decent, has decent takedown defense, not too great. But I think the thing that he lacks in the most is he kind of fades in the later rounds.
On fight night, Reinier De Ridder's words came back to haunt him as Allen dominated him on the mat and on the feet to put on a 4-round masterclass, and ironically, De Ridder was the one breathing heavy and his team had to throw in the towel at the end of round 4, giving Allen a dominant victory. After the fight, De Ridder said he'd been sick leading up to the bout, but still chose to compete anyway. When you're riding high on success and confidence, it's easy to get carried away, especially as a rising prospect in a new promotion. But cockiness isn't always the right approach, and Carlos Prates learned that the hard way. The welterweight clash between Carlos Prates and Ian Garry was fueled by bad blood. Heading into a UFC fight night in April 2025, both fighters came in with a lot of hype, and both were convinced that they were the next big thing, which made this matchup personal. It all kicked off when Garry labelled Prates a quitter because of his past losses.
You put out a video essentially calling him a quitter because of a previous fight, and then he responded with a video of his own. Do you feel like, is this fight personal to you at all, or is this just pre-fight hype?
No, I like to do my job and watch my opponents and watch their fights, and I analyse, I start to read. Look, his team is called the Fighting Nerds. They do the same thing, but they've never seen a fight where I quit mid-fight. So when I seen that, right, he put his hand in the air, he waved at the ref and said, "I'm done." I have never seen that in MMA.
Prates fired back instantly, vowing to punish Garry in the most brutal of ways possible.
Enquanto Ian Garry tá na internet falando merda, tá com muito tempo livre, tô aqui treinando, pro dia 26, enchendo de murro na boca. Depois ele vai ficar falando que não teve tempo pra treinar, porque tava na internet falando merda. Arrombado.
Prates also mocked Garry for allegedly being a nobody in the UFC, claiming that the only reason the Irishman finally got a main event slot was because he agreed to fight him.
Irmão, eu tenho 1 ano de empresa, 2 main event, 4 bônus, tá ligado? 4 nocaute, irmão. Porra, acho que esse moleque tá uns 4 anos no UFC, nunca teve um main event, ganhou um bônus, acho, na vida. Uma pá de decisão aí, luta chata do caralho, ninguém quer... Porra, mano, se ele tá lutando hoje aí main event é porque eu escolhi, irmão, eu deixei.
When the cage door closed, Garry controlled the fight from the opening bell, using crisp footwork, deceptive feints, and perfectly timed wrestling transitions to keep Prates guessing all night. Prates did have one big moment late in the 5th round, when he caught Garry with a clean shot. But Garry rode out the danger and coasted to a clear unanimous decision win. Now, 2 up-and-comers taking shots at each other is one thing, but when a fighter starts throwing shade at a certified legend, it rarely ends well, and Matuesz Gamrot was about to learn that lesson the hard way. Matuesz Gamrot secured his chance to face Charles Oliveira at UFC Rio in September 2025 on short notice, but he had sowed the seeds of this battle for a long time. In 2024, Gamrot accused Oliveira of ducking him because he called out Colby Covington instead of saying his name. A year later, when Rafael Fiziev pulled out of his scheduled bout with Oliveira and the UFC was looking for a replacement, Gamrot again accused Oliveira of running scared. Even after the fight was booked, Gamrot claimed Oliveira was scared to face him because he had been preparing for a striking specialist in Rafael Fiziev.
He has can prepare a different style, like versus striker guy, and he is not ready for my style. So for me, this was a little bit like funny because like he's the lion, the most submission in the UFC history. He submit almost everybody. So how he can scare like grappler guy. I am grappler, I wanna take down everybody in my fight, so this is gonna be the same with Charles. We step in the cage, but I wanna take him down and I wanna scramble with him in the ground.
Not only that, Gamrot even saw holes in Oliveira's game that he was so eager to exploit.
He tapped like almost 9 times in the UFC, so sometimes I see holes in the ground, and like you say, I always represent the wrestling style in the cage.
The action started fast on fight night, with both Oliveira and Gamrot trading heavy shots before Gamrot took it to the ground. Oliveira quickly transitioned to Gamrot's back and threatened a rear naked choke, but couldn't finish it in the first round. In round 2, Oliveira eventually took Gamrot's back and locked in a rear naked choke again to seal the submission victory. And just like Gamrot, this next rising star also had to learn the brutal lesson of underestimating tougher opponents who were a part of the elite club of the UFC for a reason. In just 15 months in the UFC, Jean Silva tore through the featherweight division with 5 straight finishes to turn into a serious contender in no time. But before Jean Silva could even think about touching UFC gold, he had to get through one of the most dangerous and explosive contenders in the division, Diego Lopes. Heading into the fight, Silva already saw himself as the man.
I just gotta get in there and show what's really in here, and in here I'm already the champion.
Silva didn't miss a single opportunity to take verbal shots at Lopes.
So basically, Diego was doing matchmaking and basically signed on this coffin already. So screw that. I mean, that's it. I mean, he signed on it. So if that's what he wants to be, I'll just put some dirt on that coffin.
Things got even more heated when Silva claimed that Lopes had provoked his team during a hotel encounter, and the two camps almost came to a fight.
He said a few things, and he kept asking me how I liked it, and security kind of stepped in, but Flavio Alvaro, one of my coaches, old school guy, came and said to him, bro, just chill out, or you're gonna get it here. So you know how Brazilians are.
But when Lopes dropped the receipts in his YouTube vlog, the truth came out and Silva was actually the one who started the drama. Silva was so confident heading into the fight that he felt there was no way Lopes could beat him.
O que acontece? Ele tá bem à frente de mim no ranking. Pro Diego aceitar lutar comigo, provavelmente ele vai falar, tá, se eu ganhar do Jean, eu luto pelo cinturão. É o que ele vai perguntar pro UFC, o UFC vai falar sim, mas ele não vai ganhar de mim. De que ele tá comigo, ele não vai ganhar, esquece.
As chaotic as the build-up was, the fight itself turned out to be even crazier. Both men came out swinging, throwing bombs from the opening bell. Silva started strong and attacked with his trademark aggression and nearly cut Lopes in half with his vicious strikes. But Lopes survived Silva's early fury and came back with brutal precision, landing a knockout that shocked the entire arena and handed Jean Silva his first UFC loss.
What advice would you give him now that he suffered his first loss in the UFC?
Maybe train more. Talk less, train more.
Silva is part of the famous Fighting Nerds team. Their team leader, Caio Borralho, went through his own brutal humbling, one that completely wrecked the team's momentum. With 7 big wins in the UFC, Caio Borralho finally got his big moment in the form of a middleweight title eliminator against Nassourdine Imavov at UFC Paris. In the lead up to the fight, Caio and his team were acting like the division already belonged to them, as they claimed everyone, including Imavov, was scared to fight him.
How can you fucking blame this guy for not wanting to fight you? I was like,
yeah,
I wouldn't
it's my
fucking
fault.
fight you.
At the end of the day, it's my fault. I'm sorry, guys.
Caio was full of confidence in the lead up to the fight, and he even promised fans that it was time to show who the best middleweight really was.
Now it's time to show who is the best, and I'm willing to go there, put on my work, and put on a great performance, and hope all the UFC and the fans enjoy, and then after that, go for the belt.
As for his prediction, Caio said he was going to destroy Imavov.
I've been training with guys that already trained with him. He gets mad when he gets touched on his face. And that's exactly what's going to happen in the fight. You know what I mean? I'm going to touch him a lot. I'm going to pressure him. I'm going to defend his speed. And then in the right time, I'm going to knock him out.
Once the cage door closed in Paris, all that talk came crashing down as Imavov put on an absolute clinic. He kept the fight standing, completely shut down Caio's takedown attempts, and picked him apart with technical striking to win by a dominant unanimous decision. That night didn't just derail Caio's hype train, it wrecked the momentum of his entire camp of the fighting nerds, as his teammate Mauricio Ruffy, who had loudly claimed he'd destroy Islam Makhachev, also got humbled for talking big a little too soon. Mauricio Ruffy's UFC rise had shades of Conor McGregor written all over it. He was loud and cocky on the mic.
I have a message for Islam Makhachev, a nice message. Hey, enjoy your days at the top. I know you're upset because I beat your friend, but enjoy your days because a new king is coming.
Inside of the cage, he was an absolute menace.
3-0.
From day one, Ruffy was calling out Islam Makhachev, saying he wanted to take down Team Khabib for his idol McGregor.
He's a big Conor McGregor fan. He loves McGregor's style. One thing that he wants is when he is ready to fight Islam Makhachev, when he goes to fight him, he wants to invite Conor McGregor to be in his corner. So it's us against the Russians. You know, he wants McGregor there. He wants McGregor to be able to be up close and taste the victory for when he beats the Russians. And, you know, Khabib's going to be there, of course. So he wants McGregor to be there as part of his corner as well for when he defeats the Russians and put an end to Islam Makhachev.
When Makhachev eventually moved to divisions, Ruffy shifted his focus to Ilia Topuria, boldly claiming he'd knock out the reigning lightweights champion. While Ruffy's trash talk made headlines, the UFC wanted to see if he could actually back it up, so they handed him a real test in the form of Benoit Saint-Denis. Saint-Denis had solid credentials, but Ruffy was not willing to slow down.
I don't know if it's going to be in the first round, I'm going to be in the second round, it's going to be in the third round, but it's over.
On fight night, Ruffy failed to deliver when it mattered most, as he was dominated from start to finish and ended up getting submitted in the second round. Now, having confidence is one thing, but thinking you're some kind of god tier fighter is a whole different story. And Belal Muhammad learned that the hard way when he lost the most valuable thing he had, simply because he was too cocky. Fresh off his huge win over Leon Edwards at UFC 304, Belal Muhammad was riding high on confidence. As the newly crowned welterweights champion, he believed no one in the division could touch him. So when he was booked to defend his title at UFC 315 against Jack Della Maddalena, a rising star with an 18-fight win streak, Belal didn't take him seriously at all.
I'm gonna knock him out. I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna show that I'm the best boxer in the welterweight division. I'm the best fighter in the welterweight division, and I'm going to show my dominance again.
Although Belal admitted Jack was a good striker, he insisted the Aussie had never faced anyone on his level.
He's a good striker, he's got a long streak going, but the difference is he's never fought anybody like me. He's never seen somebody like me. There's levels to like pressure, there's levels to experience, but I think that's going to hurt him.
Belal also boldly promised to show Canelo hands and prove he didn't even need his wrestling anymore to win fights.
You're gonna see the meaning of Canelo hands. Jack goes down at 3, he gets knocked out.
On fight night, the two went toe-to-toe in a 5-round war. Belal tried to prove a point by keeping it standing, but it backfired badly as Maddalena outstruck him on the feet and won most exchanges. Belal had his moments too, but not as big as JDM's, and by the end of the fight, Belal's face was a mess with a split lip, broken nose and shattered orbital. After 5 rounds of war, JDM won the fight by a unanimous decision and was crowned the new champion. These were times cocky UFC fighters got humbled for being disrespectful. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel and check out 30 knockouts that completely shocked the UFC world.